The first thing Oriv felt that morning was the heat of the sun burning against his neck as he knelt beside a rusted iron gate that refused to open, and the second was the unsettling feeling that someone was watching him, not with curiosity, but with something sharper, colder, almost like amusement. It made his hands hesitate for a split second, wrench pausing mid-turn, before he forced himself to continue. He had learned long ago that when life put food on the line, you didn't stop working just because something felt off. If you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Storyhouse. Because stories like this remind us how one small act can change everything. Oriv wasn't supposed to be here. Men like him didn't usually get called to houses like this, perched on a hillside with wide stone pillars and a view that stretched endlessly across the valley below. His boots were worn, his shirt slightly faded, and his hands carried the quiet story of years spent fixing things that others had broken. But work was work. And when the call came through from an unfamiliar number asking for an urgent repair, he didn't ask too many questions. His daughter needed schoolbooks, and rent was already 2 weeks late. He tightened the final bolt, testing the gate's movement. It creaked open slowly, then smoothly, like it had been waiting for someone patient enough to understand its stubbornness. Oriv exhaled, wiping sweat from his forehead, feeling that small, satisfying sense of completion that came with fixing something no one else could. That's when he noticed her. She stood a few feet away, dressed in a striking red dress that caught the sunlight and held it like fire. Her posture was relaxed, almost casual, but there was something calculated in the way she watched him, as if she had been studying him for a long time before he even realized she was there. Her expression curved into a faint smirk, one that didn't quite reach her eyes. For a moment, Oriv felt out of place, like a man who had accidentally walked onto the wrong stage. He straightened slightly, unsure whether to speak or simply gather his tools and leave. She stepped closer, her heels clicking softly against the stone, and her gaze lingered on his face before drifting to his hands, then back again. There was no warmth in her expression, only curiosity, and something else he couldn't quite name. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm but carried a strange weight. She told him the gate looked perfect, better than it had in years, and then, with that same smirk, she told him to stay. It wasn't a request. It wasn't even an order. It felt more like a test. Oriv hesitated. Every instinct inside him told him to finish the job, take the money, and leave. But something about her tone, about the way she stood there as if she already knew his answer, made him pause longer than he should have. He thought of his daughter, Meher, waiting at home, probably sitting near the window with her small notebook, drawing little houses and trees like she always did when she missed him. He thought of the empty fridge, the unpaid bills stacked on the corner table, and the landlord's warning echoing in his mind. So he nodded. The woman introduced herself as Sarah. She didn't offer much more than that, and Oriv didn't ask. Some people carried their stories like locked doors, and he had learned not to force them open. Inside, the house felt too quiet. Not peaceful, but hollow. The kind of silence that made even small sounds feel louder than they should be. Oriv followed her through a wide hallway lined with large windows, sunlight pouring in but somehow failing to warm the space. She told him there were a few more things that needed fixing. A loose cabinet, a flickering light, a door that wouldn't close properly. Simple tasks, nothing unusual. But the way she watched him as he worked made everything feel different. It wasn't admiration. It wasn't even gratitude. It felt like she was waiting for something. Hours passed, and Oriv moved from one task to another, trying to ignore the growing tension in his chest. Every now and then, he caught her staring at him from across the room, that same faint smile playing on her lips. At one point, he noticed a photograph on the wall. It showed Sarah standing beside an older man, both of them smiling, but there was something off about it. The man's expression seemed forced, his eyes lacking the same confidence Sarah carried so effortlessly. Oriv looked away quickly, reminding himself that it wasn't his place to question anything. He was here to work, nothing more. But the feeling of unease didn't leave him. By late afternoon, the sun had begun to dip slightly, casting longer shadows across the floors. Oriv packed his tools, wiping his hands on a cloth as he prepared to leave. He approached Sarah, expecting her to hand him the payment and let him go. Instead, she stepped closer, her expression unreadable. She told him he worked hard. That men like him were rare these days. And then she said something that made his chest tighten. She said she knew he was a single father. Oriv froze. He hadn't mentioned Meher. Not once. Not even in passing. He forced a calm expression, but his mind raced. How could she know that? Sarah tilted her head slightly, as if enjoying his confusion. She told him that people like her always knew more than they let on. That it was important, especially in a world where trust could be dangerous. Oriv felt a chill run down his spine despite the warmth of the room. She moved to a nearby table and placed an envelope on it. It was thicker than any payment he had ever received for a job like this. She slid it toward him without breaking eye contact. Then she repeated it. Stay. This time, the word carried something heavier. Something that made Oriv's instinct scream. He thought of Meher again. Her small hands, her quiet laughter, the way she hugged him tightly every night as if afraid he might disappear. He couldn't risk anything. But he also couldn't ignore the envelope. Slowly, carefully, Oriv picked it up. He didn't open it, but he could feel the weight of it in his hands. It was enough to solve many of his problems. At least for a while. Sarah watched him closely, as if measuring his worth based on what he would do next. Oriv took a step back. He told her he had to go. That his daughter was waiting. That he couldn't stay. For the first time, her smile faded slightly. Not completely, but enough to reveal something beneath it. Something darker. She didn't stop him. She didn't argue. She simply nodded, as if she had expected this outcome all along. As Oriv turned to leave, he felt that same strange sensation again, like he was walking away from something important without fully understanding it. Outside, the air felt different. Lighter, but not entirely safe. He walked quickly, his mind racing, his grip tightening around the envelope. When he finally reached his small home and pushed the door open, Meher ran into his arms, her laughter filling the space with a warmth that erased everything else for a moment. But not completely. Because that night, as Oriv sat alone, staring at the envelope lying on the table, he realized something that made his heart sink. There was no address on it. No name. Nothing to indicate where it had come from. Only a single line written inside. We all have secrets, Oriv. Some are just more dangerous than others. His blood ran cold. Because he had one too. A secret he had buried deep, a past he had run from, a truth he had hidden even from his own daughter. And somehow, Sarah knew. The next morning, everything changed. Before we reach the end, if this story touched your heart even a little, take a moment to like, share, and comment. Your support keeps these stories alive and helps spread messages of hope and second chances. Oriv stood by the window, watching the sunrise paint the sky in soft shades of gold, but there was no peace in his chest. Only a growing realization that the life he had built so carefully, so quietly, was no longer as safe as he believed. Because some doors, once opened, never truly close again. And some people don't just fix broken gates. They walk straight into something far more dangerous. Before the ending, tell us in the comments, do you think Oriv should have stayed, or did he make the right choice by leaving? Oriv looked at Meher, sleeping peacefully, unaware of the storm gathering around them, and made a silent promise. Whatever secret Sarah knew, whatever game she was playing, he would protect his daughter, no matter the cost. And this time, he wouldn't run. He would face it, even if it meant confronting the very past he had tried so hard to forget. Because sometimes, the only way to protect the future is to stop hiding from the truth. And sometimes, the most dangerous secrets are the ones we carry inside ourselves.